President-elect Donald Trump's visit to the White House comes after a busy week naming his picks for key roles in his administration. Yesterday, Trump named billionaire Elon Musk and former Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy to co-lead what the president-elect is calling the Department of Government Efficiency. Trump created the department to, quote, dismantle government bureaucracy and slash excess waste. CBS News political reporter Libby Cathey joins us now live from Washington, D.C. Libby, thanks so much for being with us. We know that Elon Musk donated millions of dollars to Trump's campaign. Now he'll have a hand in Trump's administration. What does Elon Musk have to gain here? And it's a lot.
Yeah, good to be with you, Liz. Exactly. He has a lot to gain. Elon Musk, the world's richest man, has been spending a lot of time with former President Donald Trump, now the president-elect, even joining him today in Washington for this historic meeting with Biden. Now, Musk isn't in the Oval Office, but it's significant that Trump had him travel with him on his plane, Trump Force One, Trump calls it, to Washington today after spending the larger part of the last week with Musk and Trump together at Mar-a-Lago as Trump makes these decisions. Now, you mentioned the Department of Government Efficiency. DOGE is that acronym, seemingly a troll of a meme of a dog winking that Musk posts frequently on Twitter, X, the platform he bought. But Musk having the ear of Trump, and this is important for him because Musk has several contracts with the government when it comes to Starlink, SpaceX, Tesla. He's got a lot of money, got a lot of business with the government, and Musk is a fan of deregulation. He does not want the government to be doing as much as they are currently. So that's Musk's part of his motivation, at least, and just general proximity to power. But Elon Musk having the ear of former president, now president-elect Trump this week, even joining him in Washington, and will be joining Vivek Ramaswamy to lead this department on government efficiency. And as we figure out in the coming weeks exactly what that department will be doing, Liz.
And Libby, there's another pick from Trump we want to ask you about. Trump named Fox News host and veteran Pete Hegseth as the next Secretary of Defense. What can you tell us about that decision? Does Hegseth have any government experience?
No, Liz, Hegseth does not have government experience in the traditional sense, but yes, he is a veteran, achieved the rank of major for the Minnesota National Guard, served in Iraq and Afghanistan and in Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. Now, he has this combat experience, but not traditional government experience, has not worked at the Pentagon, but viewers may recognize him from Fox and Friends. He's a weekend co-host of that, appears on several Fox News programs. And why would Trump then pick Pete Hegseth for this role if he doesn't have that traditional Pentagon experience? Probably because he is a good talker. He's an experienced talker. He has delivered Trump's message on Fox, this America First MAGA agenda for him just through television. And as Trump is making these decisions in Mar-a-Lago, Arweesha Zhang reporting that he is watching television clips of these potential picks. He probably saw Pete Hegseth talk up his agenda, and that helped drive the decision for this appointment. Now, Pete Hegseth would have to be confirmed by the Senate unless the Senate goes through with what Trump wants, these recess appointments. So Pete Hegseth and others wouldn't necessarily have to be confirmed to act in their positions. That's what Trump is hoping for, saying that they need to move quickly. We'll see if the rest of the Senate is on board with that, and we will continue to track these picks as they come out of Mar-a-Lago and as Trump is in Washington here today, Liz.
Yeah, CBS News political reporter Libby Cathey, thank you so much for that reporting. We will be watching.